Hey guys, real quick before we get started, I know I usually upload on Tuesdays. I'm uploading this on Sunday. The tournament was yesterday, so I just figured I'd put this up now. I pretty much had it finished, and many people were asking me how I did, so why not? So there won't be an additional video on Tuesday. I'm probably just going to relax a few days, but I will put up another video on Tuesday, April 28th, and then upload every Tuesday as normal. Thank you so much to the Patreon sponsors for today, Blackjack and Film Swag. Their support is super helpful and appreciated. Hello everyone, my name is Andrew AJT, and oh my god, I actually got invited to participate in the 1v1 Jagex online PvP tournament, which I've been really looking forward to. I'm very happy that I got in. If you haven't heard about this yet, this is basically a kind of a regional and then a final tournament. There's 4 regions, which will have tournaments of 128 people each, and then the top 8 from each of those go on to a top 32 grand final on Sunday, and there's some prizes. It's a pretty cool thing. I'm actually very excited they're doing something like this. It's nice that it's all online, it's simple, and the cool thing that they did was they invited everyone participating to this special Discord server, which is really nice. There's frequently asked questions, rules, like a welcome message, just kind of explaining everything. There's a general chat, people just talking about the tournament. People have questions about the tournament, asking things. I actually had some questions for a JMod and they answered them, so that was kind of nice. There's region-specific channels. I'm in the North American East one. You can see there, you got the challenge link and everything. So I actually really like that they did it this way. It's just a nice, easy way to communicate with everyone, and I actually give them a lot of props for organizing this pretty well. So we got this access to tournament worlds, which were exclusive for the event, and they're really nice. The best thing about them is these gear supplies over here. Basically, there's presets, and you can just apply them, and it will completely refresh your inventory, gear, all that. It'll make it exactly the same. So, like, just to give you an example, if we kind of screw around with the inventory here a little bit, and then go back and let's try claws this time, it'll completely refresh everything. And as far as I know, there's no way to do that in the real game, even using your own items, so it's really convenient here. The only thing that definitely should be improved next time, if possible, is every single time you log in, all of your settings are completely refreshed. So just to give you an example, I'll hop over to another tournament world and you can see that the inventory and chat box are going to look different. I don't know why it's taking so long to load, but there you go. So for example, I like to change that to look more like this. That's just the way I've always used it. And also, you need to change your F keys every single time. So that can be easy to forget to do if you're practicing. And by the way, you can practice. There was a lot of people practicing before the tournament. There were no restrictions on that. But even like your quick prayers, your XP drops, having them the way you want them to look, your auto retaliate, there's like a million things you have to remember to do before you actually fight, because even just something small being different might kind of throw you off. Also, they weren't bad, but they were definitely interesting, the stats they chose for this. So everyone has these stats, and they're 75 attack, 70 defense, and 99 everything else. So that actually kind of means that melee is a little bit underpowered, because why would you use melee with 75 attack when you can range with 99, or mage with 99 as well, and that gives you extra mage defense. So it's kind of interesting to think about, but I guess the idea was they don't want you to be super tanky. So here was the start of the Northeast tournament. So keep in mind, it is best 2 out of 3 per match, but it is single elimination. So if you lose to someone, then you're out permanently. There's no losers bracket or grand finals or anything like that. It's just kind of a one and done thing. And a lot of people actually had buys for some reason. I guess people didn't show up. I didn't though, so here was my first opponent. So I wasn't really able to practice much with my wrist being the way it is, but I tried to think of a few strategies, and I really wanted to take advantage of range because the gear we were given was actually fairly tanky. So I figured rather than trying to kind of sit in ARAMs and try to get a freeze in while taking so much damage from the other person with 99 range, I'd rather just kind of be more consistent and try to tank it out. In theory, this would allow me to outlast the other person. One thing you might notice there is when she walked under me, like the death dot thing, I was actually spamming with the AGS, because when people are walking under you, they're usually just going to go for one hit at a time. So I figure if we're just going to be trading hits, might as well hit with the AGS every single time. That's actually the reason I chose the AGS as well, is because It's a decent normal weapon. Like, I remember back in the day, free-to-play PKing in 2006, you would use the Rune 2H for the KO weapon, and you can actually still do that with the AGS without the spec. It's a fairly powerful normal hit weapon. The only downside is you lose speed, but if you're trading hits one-on-one, then there's really no downside to that. So this was the first time using the Dragon crossbow for me. I don't think I've ever owned one in game at all for any reason. So it's unique because it has an attack range of 7 squares, but if you go on long range, which I did there a little bit, it has an attack range of 9. Now Magic has an attack range of 10, which is the longest in the game. Even the Twisted Bow or Crystal Bow will only go 10 at a maximum, so that was one thing to be wary about without relying on Mage here. So I tried to get her away from the pillar thing because I'm not really good at like pillar and tree fights where someone's kind of running back and forth between the tree. I always just found that kind of annoying, but I tried to get her over here, which I think I did a little bit successfully, although I used probably too much food in the process. At this point, I think I was just thinking I need to get some momentum here and actually just put an AGS back in. I know this won't kill, but if I can just force her to have to eat a bunch, then maybe I can kind of swing things a little bit in my favor. One thing I try to do, and I'm not sure how well I did here, but a lot of people tend to just eat once and then resume attacking, whereas it's usually actually better to eat until you're relatively full HP and then attack, because you don't want to take 2 breaks from attacking to eat. You'd rather take 1, even if it's going to be extended a little bit. Now it's tricky because with Bruise you can attack continually, there's no delay, but you also have to restore your stats, and you only get 1 of each potion, which is plenty, but you don't want to brew too much. What she was doing that was even better, which is a pretty decent strategy, is actually just freezing me on opposite sides of the pillar. You can see right there I'm just reacting to the claw spec. She took them out a little too early, and here again with the AGS hits. What she was doing pretty effectively was anytime she was in danger, she would just freeze me on one side of the pillar, or freeze me and walk under, and then just heal to full. So that basically resets the situation completely. In PKing, resetting the situation is something not a lot of people talk about. You know, if you're really on the ropes and you can reset it to where you're both full HP, you've just pretty much escaped potential death. With all that being said, it was definitely a lot easier to plan for all this than to execute it, and I didn't have any food left at this point to tank the claw spec effectively, so she won the first game. So the next fight sadly didn't go much better. I didn't really play very well this one, to be honest, not to my standards. One thing I'm definitely not used to is not having karambwans. You have to just eat anglerfish here, and then you can do anglerfish into brew, but then of course your stats are brewed down, so it's a little bit different. And one thing I got pretty good at too is like using all 3 at the same time. You can go angler, brew, karambwan, so that wasn't an option here to tank like claw specs, although it wasn't really a factor here. And because this was single elimination, of course this would be my last tournament match, unfortunately. I still really enjoyed participating, and in fact I actually wish they would do this maybe once every couple months, just because it is online and it can be organized through Discord, and it seemed fairly seamless to run. I think they should do this more often. Who knows, maybe I should even ask if I could commentate it or something. I'd probably be a little better at that than trying to make my way through the bracket. I also think it would be cool if they maybe gave us a little bit more options as far as gear and how much food we want to take. You couldn't like put some potions in the bank or something and take more food, or put some gear away and take more food. You had to have the exact same inventory. I also would prefer if it was just 99 everything rather than 75 attack and 70 defense. Maybe I'm biased because that's the stats that I'm used to PKing with, but overall I think that would be a little more balanced as far as the combat triangle. I also think it would be really cool if they did a double elimination bracket, so when you lose, you go to the loser's bracket and you have another chance. The only way to win at that point is to work your way back up from the loser's bracket and defeat the winner of Winners Finals in 2 sets. Because it was single elimination, technically speaking, I actually tied 50% of the entrants, so I guess that's something I can hang my hat on. I'm joking, obviously, but it would be nice to have that extra chance to work your way back up from the loser's bracket, and it's not unfair either because winning matches in the loser's bracket progresses you much farther in the bracket, generally speaking. For those who don't know, I actually really enjoy competition in any sense, participating in it, watching it. I used to compete in Super Smash Bros. Melee for many years, and it was extremely fun going to tournaments, and I learned to deal with a lot of the pressure of competition, having to book hotel rooms and travel out of states and just having to commit to so much for a weekend and knowing that you're only going to have a couple chances in bracket, there's a lot of pressure to do well. So that definitely helped me try to play my best under pressure. Even when I go PKing nowadays and there's a huge team on me, I can pretty much do the best I can without, getting nervous or choking. Sometimes I'm just not playing well, and that's inevitable. I'm not always going to have my A game, but I don't get discouraged by it. Maybe I'll do a video on my Melee history someday. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. I know sometimes people don't like it when you upload videos about other games, when you tend to stick to one game, but you guys do know a lot about my RuneScape history, so maybe it would be only fair to tell you about my Melee history. It would take quite a bit of time to make to try to remember everything from several years and try to piece together different experiences, but overall, I think it'd be really fun to talk about. I've also been considering the idea of doing a video on my top 10 favorite games. While I'm home, I've had all these different ideas that I've thought about in my head. Let me know if you guys would enjoy that. Obviously, RuneScape is pretty high up on that list. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I wish I had made it farther, but I had fun, and that's really what matters at the end of the day. Definitely hit the like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can join our Discord down below. You can follow me on Twitter down below at AndrewAJT. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can check out my Patreon page in the end screen. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.